This summer is all about the three magic S's that we as a faith community need to provide our children, our families, and our members of all ages to connect to our deepest inner lives, our congregation, and the joy of life around us. These three S's are service to others, silence and mindfulness, sunshine and movement. Each of our Sunday services during July and August lines up with our Magic Summer RE classes, which take place at 9:30 a.m. and will follow the spirit play-like format we developed last September and visited again during Advent. We'll enjoy a story, reflect on our theme and ask some wondering questions. Then we'll do an activity that allows us to explore our topic, and we'll finish by sharing with one another what that was like. This morning's RE class was about making love notes to go into the books in our library, so that when someone opens a book and finds one of the notes, it will warm their heart, and they'll know that they share the love of reading and learning with others. Since reading a book is a doorway into a magic summer, we continue this service with a passion for discerning. After all, as Unitarian Universalists, we know that there's always something new to discover. There's always more to learn. The book of Revelation is not sealed. We're inspired by wonder, wisdom, and science, and we're on a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Libraries are great places. I don't know how many of them have resident mice who secretly write little books, but there's always something to discover on the shelves of a good library. Whether you're in need of encouragement, entertainment, or enlightenment, there's always a book somewhere that's just right for you. You might find it wandering the aisles and browsing by yourself, or you could ask a friendly librarian for help. It doesn't surprise me that librarian is one of the more common professions amongst Unitarian Universalists. That's certainly true at the fellowship. It makes sense that the love of reading and learning is common here. And it's not just because our tradition appeals in particular to a certain bookish personality. Rather, it's part of what makes Unitarian Universalism a religion. Take a look at our principles. Right in the middle is the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And what's one of the best places to do that search? In a book. And there are our sources, which include prophetic history, religious wisdom, and the results of science. What are good places to find those? In books. Even more foundational than our principles and sources are the 5 smooth stones of liberal religion, the first of which even mentions a book. As UU theologian James Luther Adams put it, revelation is continuously revealed. Meaning has not been fully captured, and the book of truth has not been closed. In other words, there's always more to learn, always more to appreciate, always more to understand. Now, some of you may be asking, what about the internet? Well, yes, the internet is a great way to learn and appreciate and understand new things that before the internet, you'd need books to do. It's like a giant library of every book imaginable. Of course, it's also open to everyone to add whatever book they want, and not everyone adding their own book to the internet is as kind as Sam the library mouse. So some of what's on the internet is untrue or misleading or hurtful or meant to trick you. And you have to learn to be your own librarian so that you can weed out the good from the bad. Then there are the other ways we can learn, appreciate, and understand new things. In some traditions, such as Islam, the natural world is as much a religious sign as written scripture itself. And I would say the same is basically true in Unitarian Universalism. Our very first source, after all, is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Many of us have had that experience this week with the release of the first images from the James Webb Space Telescope. Jeffrey, if you'd put that up on the screen, please. This is the deep field image that President Biden presented on Monday. A patch of sky about as big as a grain of sand held out at arm's length, showing a cluster of galaxies 4.6 billion light years away. What's more, thanks to the cluster acting as a gravitational lens, we're also able to see much fainter objects behind it, up to 13 billion light years away. That means that we're looking back in time to less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang itself. If this picture isn't an experience of transcending mystery and wonder, I don't know what is. Thank you, Jeffrey. You can take the image down. So here are some wondering questions for us to consider. I'll pause after each one to give you a moment to reflect. I wonder how each of us has experienced mystery this week. I wonder what we have to write purposefully, carefully, kindly in the book of truth. I wonder how our own free and responsible search for truth and meaning is going. I wonder what book we would most like to recommend to someone else to read. I wonder how we can share the love of reading and learning with one another. Let's sing a hymn about knowledge, wisdom, and wonder. For sharing what you did or would write or draw on your bookmarks. For those of you in the sanctuary, remember that there's a basket right outside the doors where you can leave your bookmarks as you're leaving. We'll distribute them amongst the shelves of our library, both in the sanctuary building and in the office building, so that people can find them and be encouraged, entertained, or enlightened by them. Our Magic Summer RE class this morning, which was about creating little love notes to be left in books and delight another reader, ended with the words, "May we inspire others in their love of reading and grow that love in our own hearts." As you use, we know the importance of reading and learning in developing vocabulary, imagination, even empathy. Now, I was always reading a book growing up, and I was sometimes told I was trying to avoid the real world, but I don't think that could be further from the truth. Every book, in some way, is about the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Even the most outlandish example of science fiction or fantasy can still ask very real questions like, what does it mean to be a good person? How should we treat other people? Why does it matter how we live our lives? Books can entertain you, sure. They can enlighten you too. Perhaps most important is that they can encourage you, letting you know that you are not alone, that your struggles are not only yours, that you are not the only one facing the world. Of course, that's why we exist as a religious community too. You may have seen these words on a church sign or two around town. No perfect people allowed. All others welcome. The truth is, of course, that nobody is perfect. Everyone has room for improvement. All of us need a place where we can be reminded that we are not alone, that our struggles are not only ours, that we are not the only ones facing the world. So think of us, our congregation, as a library of living books, each of us telling a story that can entertain, enlighten, and encourage the reader. The stories are not finished, of course, and there's always more to be written in each book. But what a splendid library this is. A lovely place to read and learn and grow. May we inspire others in their love of reading and learning and grow that love in our own hearts. May it be so.